welcome to episode 46 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary with Catherine.
And Kristen, where we believe there's nothing better than a hot coffee and an awesome book. Join us for our virtual book club where we take one book a month and dive into all the drama, adventure, and romance we can find. Hi, Catherine.
Hey, Kristen.
So I guess because it's the new year, we're almost 2 weeks in. This week we are going to talk about reading goals or reading plans or whatever for 2023. So, do you have any reading goals or plans or anything book related for 2023?
Yeah. So in 2022, I read 100 books. So I want to try to read 110 this year is my goal.
Right.
We'll see. I'm already behind because you're just automatically behind if you don't finish a book like every 3 days, I guess. So anyway, it is what it is, but we'll see. It's including audiobooks too. So like, I think, and like I literally on New Year's Eve this year, I was in the hot tub with 6 members of my family reading on my phone. So, because I needed to finish that 100th book.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm hoping I'll do that. And then I'm sure there's books that I want to read. I know I have so many books on my shelf that I haven't read yet. I want to try to buy less books and read more of my books I own, but I know that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. I can't believe when you say the word 100 books, like in my mind it doesn't seem like a lot, but then when you break it down into there's only 365 days in a year, divide that by 100, like that is really one book every 3.5-ish maybe days.
Yeah
So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. And like obviously some books are longer, some books are shorter, but I use the Story Graph app to track my books, and I love it because it shows graphs of like the genres that you read and like the length of books and like which months you read more and stuff, and I just adore a good graph.
Yeah, that's the math major coming out.
Exactly. Yeah. So what about you? Do you have any goals or plans or anything?
I don't have the plans to read 100 books.
Okay.
I don't think that's feasible in my life at this moment in time.
Yeah.
I wish it was, but I also I just feel like I've gotten so picky as a person. Like I don't even know if I'd be able to find 100 books that I would want to read.
Yeah.
Which is terrible to say.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I've gotten so picky, and like when I'm in the mood for a certain thing, I want that thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do have several goals. One of them is to read more than I have been. I'm not in school this semester, so I'm hoping, not that I'm not working. I'm working in a school, but I'm not also taking a class at university. So I'm hoping I might have more time to do that. I just feel like I've really I don't think, other than for podcast books, I don't really think I've read a book in a little bit because I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed with myself about it. I have so many books that I've purchased that are just sitting there staring at me, just waiting.
Yeah.
And I really want to read them because they're there.
Yeah.
And I also want to find more authors that I like. I'm saying that I've gotten more picky, so there's nothing that I like. I want to find more stuff that I like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've gotten into such a rut of, okay, well, I know I like this author, so I'll just read them. And I feel like that's not helpful to anybody. So I just want to find someone or several someones that I like.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
And I don't know, just try and get some more books in. I feel like I have a lot of goals for 2023. I would also really like to read some more school-based stuff, like some more school-based nonfiction.
Hmm.
Um, there's a really interesting theory out now called, and I say out now, it's been around for a while, but like there's a really cool thing that's penetrating into schools now called restorative justice. And I would, it's like a new sort of way to approach your class in
Hmm.
your classroom management instead of the traditional stuff. So I'd really like to like just find a book and read about it, and I don't
Yeah.
know, like just get into some more like professional sort of learning sort of books.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I want you to hold me accountable to everything I've said here today.
I will. You know, one thing I find hard about like when you have books in your house is like I'll put them on actually Jeff's dresser because he doesn't put anything on there. So I just stack all of the books there once we get them until they get too high. And then I bring them downstairs and put them on the shelf, even though I haven't read them. It's a huge hassle.
Yeah.
But when they're sitting there, I look at them and I'm like, I don't even want to read them anymore because they just make me mad because I haven't read them yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, they make me feel guilty for buying them
Yes.
and not reading them. And then I look at them and I'm like, this book makes me feel guilty. Why would I read it? So then I want to buy new books.
Yeah. Can I be honest and say that I still feel guilty? So, for Catherine's birthday, I made her a Christmas ornament, um, and it's Pride and Prejudice, and I tore up some pages of Pride and Prejudice, and I made an ornament with it, and like you can read some of the quotes and
Hmm.
stuff like that. I still feel guilty, and like my heart still hurts for ripping out those few pages. Like I'm still like, oh, I feel bad. I don't. I feel like I'm not even allowed to read right now because I feel like such a jerk for ripping out those few pages, even though it was an extra copy. Like it's not the only copy I possess,
Yeah.
but I bought it. I didn't buy it with the intention of ripping it up. I bought it because they were on sale. The classics, quote
Mm.
unquote, were on sale 3 for $10, and I
Yeah.
picked out a couple others. I think I picked out Jane Eyre and maybe Dracula or something like
Hmm.
that. And I was like, none of the other ones were like I wasn't interested in any of the other ones, and but Pride and Prejudice was there, so I was like, I mean, who could not, like, I could use a different cover of Pride and
Yeah.
Prejudice. And so I bought it. And then when I was like, what can I get Catherine for her birthday? I was like scrolling through and I was like, oh, I could do this. And so then I was like, well, what book can I use? Originally, I was actually just going to use a random old book
Okay. Yeah.
because I didn't want to rip it up. But then I was like, well, that doesn't really have a point. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point then? So I ended up just using that one and ripping out. I only ripped out until chapter 6.
Yeah.
So like it's still readable.
Yeah. You didn't just rip out random pages or anything.
No. Like
Yeah.
I ripped out the first couple of pages. So like it's still good.
Yeah.
I just feel really like, you don't understand how long it took me to gear myself up to rip
I
out that. I was like, oh,
I
okay,
can
I'm gonna
only
do it.
imagine.
Oh, okay, I'm really gonna do it now. And like I was with my family, like we were having like a crafting day, and my family was just like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you need us to do it for you? And I was like, no, I can do it. And
Literally, my mom came over and saw it, and she was like, Kristen made this for you? And I was like, yeah. She was like, she ripped pages out of Pride and Prejudice and you took it? Yeah. I was
I'm
like, Mom,
glad
it's fine. It's an extra book.
I'm glad she knows us this well.
Yeah. I'm like, everything is fine, Mom. My God. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Anyway,
I don't know if I would have been able to do it.
it was very hard.
I can imagine.
So yeah, I guess we'll move on.
Yeah, and we'll hold each other accountable for our goal.
Yeah. And if anybody out there listening has reading goals or plans or whatever, and you want to share them with us, like, Please do. I'm dying to know. So this is just a heads up that we are not a spoiler-free zone and things might get saucy. Might.
Yeah.
Might.
Mild.
Mild, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's our second week with A Touch of Darkness, and we're doing chapters 6 to 12. Last week we kind of ended with my favorite scene. Note the sarcasm. Of Persephone taking Adonis to see Hades for an interview that neither of the men wanted to be a part of. And Hades knocking Adonis out, talking to Persephone, and then saying that he'll wipe Adonis's memory, but then Adonis remembers some stuff. So did it actually work? There's a whole thing, but I guess she got her interview ish.
She got something. They chatted, like they talked.
Did chat. Yeah, and he says Hades does explain that he can like see to someone's soul and challenge whatever it is that is like destroying their soul. So like she got something from it.
Yeah.
But she left angry because that is her default emotion.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
I will say that we actually addressed this in this episode.
Her anger?
Yeah, her default emotion, and like I'm here for it. It's good.
Yeah, I can't remember where this week ends because I read on. So
yeah,
but yeah, and basically last week ended with Hades telling Persephone that he put her name on the guest list for that night so that he could take her for a tour of the underworld.
Yeah.
So into this week,
she's going clubbing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This whole thing. It's basically how this week starts. It's like Persephone is getting ready to go to Nevernight and the underworld, and she's kind of like wondering what she should wear. And she obviously doesn't really know what to expect in the underworld because like Hades is obviously a pretty secret person.
Mm-hmm.
And she realizes that like she does kind of need to dress for Nevernight's dress code to get in. But I'm also like, take a big purse and put your leggings in the purse. Because like when I think of the underworld, I think of like going to the center of the earth and it just being like browns and fires and like with like steam.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I see the exact same thing in my brain.
Yeah. And I guess I kind of think of hell in Supernatural. The very little that we do get. So it's also been a really long time since I watched that entire show. So, but that's kind of what I start to think of. Anyway, so I would have brought leggings, but she dresses in like a short, tight dress.
How's she gonna garden in that?
That too. And like heels. Like where are you walking in these heels? Nowhere. She kicks them off immediately. But
like I could see, so if he's saying, hey, come to Nevernight and hang out at Nevernight with me, I could see her dress into the nines. I get it.
Yes.
But she knows for a fact she's not staying there.
Mm-hmm.
She's literally just going to walk through the club and go and then not be... Like, why does she feel the need to dress all fancy?
Well, I guess there's a lineup for the club and, like, what if the bouncer... Yeah, but if she doesn't, like... Even if you're on the list, there is a dress code. So I don't know. Maybe she's worried that, like, the bouncer won't let her in if she's not, like, dressed up right. And I would definitely have brought a big purse and, like, leggings and a hoodie, even though I don't think that the underworld is cold, but that's just what I would want to wear.
Yeah. I know. I 100%. I wouldn't. Yeah.
Anyway, so she goes to Nevernight. I think she takes the bus as per her usual. And there's like a huge line up there, but she just walks to the front. And there's a new ogre, Mekanin, there. And he just immediately recognizes her and just lets her in, which I'm like, baller. That is
Yeah.
ideal.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
I love it.
I wish that happened to us once.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened to me. I've never been so cool where I've gotten to jump the line.
No.
Oh, actually, wait, that's a lie.
We need to know somebody in the like either the club or know the bouncer or the owner.
That's a lie. I used to date a bouncer.
Oh. Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, I forgot that happened because I tried to repress it. I was also like, it was only for like 3 months when I was actually allowed to go to clubs. So.
Fair. Well, you did it. You lived the dream.
I did it. It wasn't that impressive though because it wasn't a super popular club. So like there was never much of a lineup.
So when she's inside, a satyr, Ilias, comes up to her and tells her that Hades is busy, but he's to bring her to his office. And she wants to wait at the bar, but Hades has ordered Ilias to bring her to his office. So she is not allowed. So,
dear.
Yeah. I'm like, that's a bit controlling for...
A red flag, even?
Maybe, yes.
Oh my gosh, we got the first one. Waving the red flag.
Yeah. When they're in the office, Ilias does get her a glass of wine, which I was kind of thinking that he didn't want her to drink when I first read it. But I'm glad that he wasn't trying to like stop her from drinking. As a part of the red flag.
Yes. I feel like it was probably more he didn't want her to either A, get distracted and like like disappear,
well, or does.
Or like I wonder if it was something like
boys.
Yeah, like maybe he just didn't want her to have the opportunity to meet other people.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it was probably that one. Like he didn't want her to meet another Adonis because that's who she met last time she was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets a glass of wine and she notices how like cheerful Ilias is. And it's like yet another employee of Hades that is happy. And she kind of asks him why he's happy with his job. And you know, casual conversation, keep it cash.
Why are you happy?
Right? And he tells her not to believe everything she's heard about Hades and that he is generous. He also says that Hades cares for his people. And like, if you belong to him, he will tear the world apart to save you. Which is... belong. Do you know what?
Are you a toy?
Right?
Although I will say that this sort of brings me back to Akamaf a little bit because Rhys tells Feyre like when he says like remember when Lucian almost gets her and like takes her back to the spring court?
Yeah.
And they managed to scare him away. And then he said, and she asked, she was like, what would you have done if he had taken me? And he said, if you had wanted to go, I would let you go. He was like, but if you didn't want to go and he took you anyway, he was like, I would tear apart the world to get you back.
Yeah.
And in that instance, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. In this instance, I don't feel the same.
No, but it is different. He's like, if that's not what you wanted, consent is the difference.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But like the sentiment is nice. I just think belong to you is the wrong choice.
Yeah, but I also don't really understand why this random satyr is like, obviously, because like the next line is like, she's like, I don't belong to him. And he's like, obviously you do, or he wouldn't have told me to bring you here. And I'm like, you can't say that someone belongs to someone. Like,
do you know what I will say bothers me? And and I'm sure what bothers me about this is that he seems very attached to her already, and
Mm-hmm.
they barely know each other. Like, why does he care so much what she thinks of him? Why is he so, like, treating her so reverentially? Like, why is he behaving this way when they've literally met 3 times?
Yeah.
And they have not been great interactions apart from the first time. First time, yes, was cute and sassy and flirty.
Yeah.
But, like, both other times she has treated him with disdain and, like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't understand why he's, like, so, like, it almost feels like he's not paying his employees to, like, talk him up. But it almost seems like he's, like, being like, "Hey, so you're gonna drop," like, with the ogre from last
Yeah.
week, or not the ogre, the Cyclops from last week that drove her home.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he was like, "So, if you wanna say, that I'm single, if you
Put in
wanna
a
get
good
that in there,
word.
yeah, if you wanna, like, put that in there, I wouldn't hate it." And then now with this guy too, it's like, "So, you're gonna take Persephone to my office. If you wanna talk about what a great guy I am, you can. I'll be okay with it. I don't hate it." Like, it just seems like he's getting them to, like, say stuff on purpose.
Yeah. Maybe he is.
But, like, why does he care so much?
I know.
The crux of my issue is, why does he care so much?
I guess we'll have to read the books from his perspective.
Blech.
You don't know that.
Sorry, you're right. That was that was too early. Too early to tell.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll read Maybe we'll read this book from his point of view and then do a follow-up one episode and be like,
this is what happened.
Yeah, this is what we got from it. Not actually like dissect it or anything, just chat about it. Yeah, so we love tangents. That's our jam.
Do you know what? Another tangent here. I tangent so often. I'm one of those teachers where the kids are like, just ask her a random question and we'll get like 20 minutes of just talking about nothing. Yeah. I am that teacher. Do you remember having that teacher?
I do, yeah.
That's me.
That's awesome.
Like, that is me. I totally go for it. I don't even care.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
it's all good.
Tangent over.
Cool. So Persephone is in the office so she can look out over the club. So she does. And she says that she can pick out the people who are hoping to make a deal there. And in her head, she's like, she knows that she's going to warn them away from it soon through her article. And I'm like, she's so naive.
Yeah.
Like, if people are coming to Hades to make a deal, they're not going in blindly. They're not going there like, this is my first stop on my way to try to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Like, she's just so naive. It hurts me.
But do you know what I'll say though? Like, I feel like that's accurate for her as a character.
I know. I do too. And I understand it. But I also hate it so much.
I will be honest with you. She does get better.
Yeah.
I don't know if Frank, like, again, with the honesty, I don't know how much better she gets at this book because again, I sort of like they all merge together for me.
Yeah.
But fair. she does improve.
Yeah. And even this week, she's better than last week-ish. Oh, wait, no. I hate this week.
She's not better than
maybe
this week.
Next week. Your part and next week. She's a tiny bit better.
A little bit, yeah.
Wherever I am right now, she is better.
Yeah.
But this week, I was so mad. Anyway, love good tangent. At least this one's book related, I guess.
I feel like we should just change the name of everything and just be like, we're the tangent people.
Coffee and tangent.
Yeah,
Oh
great idea.
God. Yeah, killing it. Um, so she also tries to kind of like snoop in his desk, but there are no drawers and there's nothing on his desk.
So, like, why does he have a desk?
I know. I'm like, there must be secret drawers that like she can't see or
Hopefully.
feel.
He must hate. I feel like he definitely also has like an obsession with black obsidian because his entire club is made of it. So the desk is definitely also made of it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. Um Sorry. So she also goes behind his desk to see if she can see the door that Minth came through the second time that she had met with him when she met in the office and Minth came bursting in. So she she goes behind the desk and I guess she thinks because of Hades' favor, she could just walk through this door and it's like glamored so it doesn't look like a door, it just looks like a wall. And she says it feels like liquid around her as she walks through. She immediately fucking falls. Because she tries to take a step forward, but it's dark and she's on a staircase. And like she's lucky she didn't die.
Yeah, it's true.
How did she not just go tumbling down the entire staircase?
Like, I don't understand. Like, what I don't understand is why Hades like is still like she is such a friggin' snoop. Why is he interested in her? Like, I don't get it.
Yes, that. But also, he should know better by now.
Yeah,
He should
yeah.
have been like, Ilias, don't leave her alone in there. Sit down, chat her up about me. Don't let her do anything stupid.
She will hurt herself.
Yeah. So she hurts herself. She hurts her ribs like pretty badly. And then she just takes off her shoes and starts walking down the staircase. Like she can't see because it's not light enough. But she's like, fuck it. I guess I'll go down these stairs.
But like, don't you think if she had removed the glamour from her eyes, maybe she could see a bit better?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know either. Like, I'm just hypothesizing.
That would make sense. But nothing she does make sense, so it doesn't matter. So she gets down this staircase and she ends up in a green field with flowers, and there's a palace in the distance, and it's really beautiful. And she knows that, like, this is the underworld. Unsurprising.
Mhm.
Um, but she starts to get angry again because her job is to create life. And there's already so much like vegetation and flowers here that she's like, why does he want me to grow flowers? And I'm like, there are other kinds of life than just flowers. Like he might not have been talking about flowers, but
Do
okay.
you think it would count if she took 2 dogs or cats and like had them make babies?
Maybe.
Like, would that be her creating life in the underworld?
Well, is she creating it?
Well, she instigated it.
Yeah.
What if she in vitro fertilized
Yes. I
one of
think
the
if
dogs
she
or cats?
yes, I think if she did that, yes.
She's
But I don't think if she just brought 2 down and they went at it, she created anything other than a space for them to have sex.
she just she needs she just
Common
needs
sense
to open her mind to like
potential.
think. She just needs to be a bit more creative.
Yes.
She goes right to plants.
Yeah.
Think
Which
outside the box, man.
I guess makes sense though, because like that is her life. But
Mm.
still, I'm like, eh. Anyway, so she's pissed and she's walking towards the castle, the palace in the distance. And she ends up at what she knows is the river Styx.
Mm-hmm.
And so she fucking debates swimming across it. And she's like, except for her hurt side, like she thinks that she would have done it. And I'm reading this at this time for the first time. And I'm like, okay, good. Like she has some sense. She's not going to do it. And then she fucking does it. I'm like, maybe they don't know anything about the underworld or the river Styx, but like, we know a bit about it. You can't just fucking swim across it. She fucking does. Try. And something from below grabs her ankle, and it's a corpse. And then another one grabs her wrist, and then the one on her ankle and the one at her wrist start pulling her in opposite directions. And like, then there's another one on her other leg and another one on her other arm. So she's got 4 just pulling her limbs, and she's underwater. And I'm like, you deserve this. This is your fault.
This is all your fault.
Exactly. Then the corpse start fighting each other, and she gets free and gets up to like get a breath because she has to breathe. And one of the corpses bites her shoulder.
Ew.
And tries to drag her back down. But someone above grabs her before they can take her down again. And this someone gives her mouth to mouth, and she ends up spewing up all of the water. And then she notices he's a god.
Ooh.
A god. And it's not Hades.
Oh, lovely.
He introduces himself as Hermes, god of many things in his
repertoire
opinion. But Persephone knows him as the god of trickery and thieves. He guesses that she's the goddess of Hades' sexual frustration. I did like that.
Yeah. Hermes is good because I feel like he gives off this like sassy best friend character, sort of.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love a sassy best friend?
Yeah, I agree. He seems cool. I'm a fan. Hades shows up and is pissed. And I'm like, right? He's like, he should be pissed at Persephone for not sitting in the fucking office. But he's like kind of pissed at Hermes and like shoves him away with his magic.
Why?
Or his power or whatever. I guess he's too close. And she's his.
I'm waving him.
No. See, I don't even care about this so much because I'm like, if you're a god, you can own people. It's just the way of the world.
If you're a god, you heard it here first, folks. If you're a god, you can own people.
It's true. I've decreed it.
Okay.
I don't know if he can own a goddess. Like, I don't know where the levels are.
That's a good point, yeah.
Like, they're on the same level-ish. I guess she's a bit lower. But it's the same as, like, I don't know what similarities we'd have in this world. Somebody with power and somebody with not power. Well, it's not good.
That's problematic right there.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe he can't own her. But anyway, I think he can own other people. But that's just my opinion.
Great. Lovely.
Anyway, so Hades is mad at them both. And Persephone like tries to hold her own and like stands up between them like she's gonna be angry and shit. But like she just starts to sway. And she tells him about like the stairs and hurting her side, and then Hermes tells him she has a giant gash on her shoulder, and he picks her up and teleports her to the palace.
I feel like she needs to like resort her priorities because like honestly you almost drown and you're gonna faint. Like seriously, it's just a drowning. Like you've been saved. Suck it up.
Yeah. Well, I just imagine that the corpse that bit her was poisonous.
The dead corpse.
Yeah, poison.
Oh my god, maybe she's gonna turn into a zombie.
Oh, see? True.
A touch of darkness and zombies.
That'd be good. So Hades brings her to a bedroom, and it's all black and comfortable, and it sounds really great. I'm a big fan. I want that bedroom.
Is it his bedroom?
It is his bedroom.
Okay.
I don't know.
Are we not supposed to know this yet?
I don't know. Like, it's obviously his bedroom, though. Like, it's like,
yeah, okay.
I don't know.
It's all black. What do we expect?
Yeah, I don't think it gets stated explicitly that it's his, but I think later on she's like, his bedroom, and I'm like, okay, so it was. Anyway.
Yes, lovely.
He kneels between her legs and he heals her side with his magic. And next,
not his tongue.
Yeah, unfortunately. This book could have been half over by now. No. Yeah, so he heals her with his magic, and then he's like, next I'm gonna do your shoulder. And like he goes to the next room, and while he's gone, Persephone like almost falls asleep while she's waiting because she's exhausted. And he comes back and he does say, wake up, wake my darling, which I kind of like. Like, I'm here for a darling. I don't know.
Yeah, I like a darling. Yeah.
Although, tangent, I was listening to Akhtar part 2 of 2, the like...
Oh, the movie, the audio film, yeah.
Yeah. And Amarantha calls Feyre darling. And I was like, I did not notice that.
Me neither. Oh my god, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I glossed over that.
I did too until yesterday, unless I made it up. But it's possible. What is wrong with you today? Anyway, so she wakes up. I guess she sits up again. He starts to clean her shoulder, which I don't really get. I'm like, can't you just magic it healed? Mm-hmm. Like, why are you cleaning it? But anyway, I don't know.
Maybe because it's a dead person.
I guess. She asks why there are dead in the lake, and he says that they weren't buried with coins on their eyes, so they ended up like in the river Styx, and like that is part of the...
Yeah. I swear to God, bury me with coins on my eyes, please.
You don't want to be buried. You want to be chum for orcas.
That's true. But that's a good point. But put coins on my eyes first.
Okay, will do.
Just in case.
Okay. Anyway, he says he also explains that like the dead that are in the lake are ancient dead. Like, this is not something he does anymore, which is good.
But like that means he did it in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not all good, I guess.
No. Well,
and like
I'm assuming this was before they like came down to Earth, and it was like when they were expecting people to worship them as gods.
But like, couldn't he make the decision to remove them?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that too. I don't know. Guess not. Although he needs something in the water to stop idiots from swimming across.
Is the idiot named Persephone?
Yes. And anyway, so she's like, it's like their only job now is to drown people, and he's like, yes, that is the fucking job. And then she thinks, oh yeah, no souls in, no souls out. It's like, obviously.
Like, come on, bitch.
Yeah, this is very stupid. Anyway, he does heal her shoulder after he cleans it, which I think was just so that they'd have a conversation. And then he tells her to change into a black robe that he has, but she doesn't want to because she's afraid someone else wore it. But she can't fucking say that because She doesn't want to sound like a crazy person, which I do get.
I wouldn't want to wear a robe that like another sexual partner. If I was interested in a dude, I wouldn't want to wear a robe of another sexual partner.
No, me neither. It's not weird.
It's not weird?
No, it's not weird for her not want to wear it.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But I think that's part of her being naive, is like she doesn't realize that like everybody would feel that way. It's okay to be like, I don't has anyone worn this? I don't want to wear it.
Yeah. And like it doesn't even have to be in a sexual partner way. Like it could just be in a, hey, like I don't want lice. Like maybe somebody else has some lice. Like I'd just rather not wear a robe somebody else was in.
Yeah, exactly. He basically tells her it's this or nothing, and that he would happily and enthusiastically undress her.
Woo!
And, right? And she doesn't really have the energy to argue with him, so she changes. He tells her that it's time for her to rest now, and picks her up and tucks her in bed.
Which I hate.
Yes.
Because it's like she's a child. And it's like if you want to have sex with her and you're treating her like a child, that means you want to have sex with a child, and that's gross.
Well, in age difference, she is a fucking child. She is like 22, and he is
thousands and thousands and thousands of years old.
Right?
Yeah. So she's like a little spermy.
Yes. I also don't like it because I'm like, how is she so exhausted from that? Like, did the lake drain her energy? I don't know. She did almost drown, and she did need mouth to mouth, allegedly. So, which I don't really understand because, like, she was just at the surface, took a breath, was hauled back down, and somebody can still grab her. So I don't know where she swallowed the water.
I guess she had her arms up so someone could grab her arm, even if her head was under.
I know, but you'd think that she would have swallowed on the first time down because that one seemed much longer.
Maybe she was gulping, and as she was gulping, right? Yeah. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. I'll buy that. And then also the lake drained her energy. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, she does go to sleep, and when she wakes up, he's sitting in a chair drinking whiskey and watching her.
Of course, it's
Edward Cullen.
It's oh my god, it is Edward Cullen minus the whiskey.
Yeah,
he's too innocent and pure for that because he's a virgin.
Also, they can't eat or drink anything other than blood. But yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Edward Cullen.
Ed Cullen sitting in the corner. She kind of gets like hot and bothered because he looks so hot. And like I do think it's the rolled up shirt sleeves and his forearm showing.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, that is
it. Hot. That is, yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah. He does get her to stay for a tour, which I think was the original plan of the night. So it's like, that's a good idea. He tells her he's devastated, he says.
Devastated.
That she was hurt in his realm and it won't happen again. I'm like, it was her fucking fault.
Yeah, it was her fault. I think he could apologize. But like at the same time, no, because he probably would have warned her about these preventative measures if she had waited for him. But no, she's just being a nosy bitch.
If she used some logic and was like, I'm sure that no souls get in and no souls get out. So obviously you can't just swim across this fucking lake. River.
Whatever.
Anyway. Yeah. But like, it shows either he cares about her or he cares about people getting injured in his land. And
I think it's a bit of both.
I do think it's a bit of both as well. I think like a lot of it is actually the latter,
Hmm.
as opposed to him liking her that much. But I guess we'll see when we read the other book.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
um, he shows her the gardens, and she gets mad again. Like, I know I've already said it, but girl really has anger issues.
Yeah.
Um,
She does.
he like sees that she's getting mad, and she kind of gets pissy at him, and then he magics the flowers away, and he's like, they're just an illusion. So if she does make a garden, it'll be like the only one, I guess, near the palace, because I feel like there's gardens elsewhere later on.
I feel like everything is a glamour though.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know. Maybe not. I don't like I don't have concrete evidence of any of my theories. That's when I initially read it, I just assumed that all the land that was there that looked nice was glamored to look that way.
Okay. But I the only thing I could think when he like magicked it away was like, the good news is she can likely touch the imaginary flowers because she can't kill them.
Way to
um,
go.
yeah, so that's exciting for her. Uh, she doesn't really catch on to like what Hades does. So like his thing is to look into people's souls and see whatever is hurting them souls, and then
They're like
challenge
their
them.
weakness, yeah.
Yeah. Because she then asks him, like, if he has all of this beauty, why does he want her to create a garden? And it's like, it's not about what he wants in these bargains, it's about what's destroying her soul. So, like, clearly something about this is destroying her soul. So it's like, it's not about him, but this is something I feel like she just isn't grasping. She thinks
Yeah.
like he just wants her to grow a flower, but like, why? It's just so,
Yeah.
she's being not very smart.
She's being dense, but also I feel like she's interpreted this like, and we've said it before that like he has asked her to create life. And
Yes.
she is defaulted to, why do you want me to create a garden? And I just feel like that's so incredibly short-sighted of her and like
Yes.
so like unimaginative.
Mm-hmm.
And
Completely
like I
agree.
feel like by saying, "Oh, you want me to create a garden," she's completely missing the point. And like honestly, it feels like she's just jumped to this conclusion and it really hurts her in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know how it hurts her because I haven't gotten there yet, but I can see it hurting her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So he does show her where she can work at, like, shows her a little plot with some soil where she can make her garden, and he says that she can come as often as she wants. And she asks how she's supposed to get back here because clearly she can't do what she did today. Um,
What?
yeah, wouldn't be very smart. And he grabs her and kisses her, and it's like super hot.
I love
Like
it.
10 out of 10 would do it again. Um, he lifts her up, and her legs go around his waist. She grips his hair and takes it out of its like ponytail holder, and his hands go under her robe and touch her thighs, um, but only her thighs. But she moans.
Ooh.
Um, she doesn't think she would stop him, but she is kind of worried that like if they go any further, she might regret it, which I get. Um,
I know, but sometimes you want to just say like, damn the consequences. Like if it's that hot, like can you imagine how hot the sex would be?
oh, I completely agree. So she's a bit worried, and they kind of pull away from each other. And he tells her that now, as soon as she like enters Nevernight, she can just snap her fingers and she'll end up like in this garden.
Lovely.
Yeah. And she is immediately embarrassed about how intense she was during the kiss and how she like almost just gave her precious flower away. um when like he was only doing it to bestow favor, which you're like, obviously he wasn't, but you can't really blame her for that.
No.
Um, he brings her directly to her room, like in her own home, her apartment, and it's only an hour before she has to get up. And I'm like, I just wouldn't go to work that day. That is too hard.
I wouldn't, honestly, I feel like going to sleep would be the worst mistake.
Yes,
Like,
I
just stay
completely
up,
agree.
power through, take an extra long nap afterwards.
Yes, completely agree. I don't know what she actually does. I think she goes to sleep. But anyway, Hades tells her to stay away from Adonis.
Ugh.
And he says that if she chooses Adonis, he may take her to the underworld and never let her go. Which I'm like, that's a bit of a red flag. Also, it's not an explanation.
But also, like, she doesn't have a thing for Adonis. She's actually kind of annoyed with him on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's his, like, jealousy coming out. Like, seeing
Yeah.
that, like, she's not actually going to choose Adonis. He's just convenient to have around.
Yeah.
Like, he conveniently has a car, so he could drive her to Nevernight.
I guess. I still thought that was dumb.
Of course it was dumb. But she just wanted backup, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. That whole thing. But yeah. I just think that she doesn't trust Hades at all. And she thinks that this is jealousy. But she also, in the scene 5 seconds ago, was like, oh, I embarrassed myself because I want him and he doesn't want me, but he's jealous. So he
Yeah.
does want you. So it's like a lot of her emotions are conflicting, which I guess.
Well, I remember Hermes said that you're the goddess of Hades' sexual frustration.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like she's ignoring all the signs.
Yeah. But like in her defense, which pains me to say, um I feel like a lot of our thoughts are mixed in real life. So I get having like I understand feeling two different ways about something and not being sure where someone is. So
I guess.
I'll give her this one.
But just this one.
Just this one. So I guess it's the next day, but Lexa and Persephone are having breakfast together. And it's before Persephone goes to the library and Lexa is going to the trials with Adonis. And Persephone thinks of Hades asking her not to see Adonis, but she does admit that, like, if she wasn't so busy and if she didn't have so much to do, she 100% would go to the trials with Lexa and Adonis. And I'm like, I guess that's better than the alternative, because if she did trust Hades and want to stay away from Adonis, you'd think that she would warn her best friend. But
True.
she does say, I don't know if they're really good friends. Like, I really question this friendship.
I know.
But she does say that Hades' warning only made her more curious, which just annoyed me.
So, like, do you think that means, like, so we already know that Lexa is, like, obsessed with Adonis. So, like, do you think that if Hades did not warn her off of Adonis, do you think she would have, like, scooted her friend out of the way and, like, got Adonis for herself?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
No, I don't think that.
Good.
Yeah. No, I think that Lexa always wanted Adonis, but that would be like shitty friend even more so than I think they are with each other. So
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't think they're that bad of friends. I just don't think that they're great friends.
Okay.
And then there's this coming up now is another trope that I just don't really get. So Lexa looks at Persephone and says that her lips are bruised. And I'm like, really? They had like one kiss.
I guess it was a steamy one.
It was steamy, but I don't know if my lips have ever been bruised.
I sort of take it as like I don't take it as bruised, like black, blue, and purple.
Well,
like,
yes.
like I take it as like red all over. Like, I don't know. I think you can tell when someone's been. Now, I will say that I agree with you. Like, this is a short kiss for her lips to already have impact. But like,
But it's also the next day. And like, did she not get up and put on a glamour? Did she not wear makeup? Like,
oh, you have a point. You have a point.
I just, if you look in the mirror, because like I know sometimes if you kiss somebody that has some stubble, you'll get like
Yes.
red around your lips.
Yep.
Which, like, yeah, that's a sure sign that you've been making out with somebody. But she has a fucking glamour. Anyway.
But maybe her glamour cannot glamour away like physical, like pains, hurts.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, man. I got no answer.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
You'll give me my no answer?
Yeah.
Good. Great.
Lexa does say that she heard Persephone come in at 5 that morning because she was up talking to Adonis on the phone, I guess. Ew.
Weird.
So
Who
weird.
talks on the phone these days?
Persephone is kind of happy for Lexa because apparently Lexa's been heartbroken over like a shitty, controlling, cheating boyfriend that she had a while ago that she's still not over. So Persephone's like kind of glad that she's moving on. And I'm like, can we worry a little more about Hades' warning about Adonis being shitty? Like, clearly Hades has reasons to say this, but
yeah,
nope, we're not going to worry about that.
Good, great, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on. People who cares about, like, if Lexa has a history of shitty, cheaty boyfriends, it's almost even more cause for concern that Adonis is a shitty, cheaty boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because, like, some people just attract that type of person. Like, they choose that on accident, but like...
Well, yes, they're not trying to get hurt. No, I know what you mean. No,
but like, you go... Well, I don't know what happens, but a lot of times when you're in a cycle of abuse and neglect, you end up in the cycle like over and over and over again. Yeah. So like, I'd be more concerned that, oh shit, she's with this guy now. What's he like?
Yeah. I think it's the like, obviously it's not the same in every relationship, but a lot of relationships like that, the lows are so lows, but the highs are very high. So like, that's why you end up back in the relationship, because you were looking for those highs and they usually come with lows. Yeah. Like, normal relationships are more steady than high and low.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh, yeah. So Lexa starts telling Persephone about Adonis and says that he was adopted, so he became a journalist to find out who his parents are.
Interesting.
Yes. I don't know who his parents are yet, so that's something that I actually forgot about while I continued to read, but now it's back in my head.
Yes.
Lexa says that she can't imagine existing in the world without really knowing who you are. And like, that really hits Persephone because she's a god with no powers. So like, she very much feels like she's existing in the world without knowing who she is or what she is.
I wonder if she knows who her father is.
I wonder that too. Lexa ends up going to the trials and Persephone goes to the library. She reads up on Hades, which I think is mostly a device like just to give us some information on Hades.
Love it. Another one.
But she, at the library, reads about his powers, and the ones that were notable to me, because I don't really know what happens in the rest of the book, but necromancy, drawing metals from the ground. So like,
yes,
rich, very rich. Charm and invisibility. So invisibility sounds cool. Charm is interesting.
Do we think it's charm like he can charm the pants off of you, like he's charming?
That's what I was thinking.
Or do you think it's charms like Charms Class?
No, I think it's charm like Prince Charming. No, that's not. Charm the pants off you.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Do it.
Yeah. Persephone kind of like reads on, and she thinks that the god described in this book seems compassionate and kind and not like the asshole she met. And you're like, you've only met him 4 times. Maybe
Yes.
you're wrong about him.
Yeah.
Maybe this book is more right than your prejudices against a guy that you've attacked multiple times.
Yeah.
This part I actually thought was smart. She reads about the underworld and she notes the flowers that are talked about in the underworld, and she researches like how to grow them. And then she goes to buy seeds for them, which I actually was like, that is a smart thing to do. Like, if obviously you'd want to buy a flower like that because it might actually live.
Yeah.
She does immediately bring them to Nevernight and uses her snap to get herself to the plot. And she plants 3 types of flowers, and then she goes in search of water and sees a fucking river.
Oh no.
And immediately I'm like, is this smart? Maybe she should go to a tap. Like, why bring water from the outside world? Like, you don't know what this water is like.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
like, there must be a kitchen in the palace somewhere.
A bathroom.
Yeah, a bath. Yes.
Anything. Bath. Yes.
Anything. Yeah.
Anything. On her way to this river, she sees a red ball and 3 giant Dobermans. And, like, obviously these are the guard dogs. She literally mentioned them a chapter ago and then is like, oh, 3 giant dogs. Are they going to kill me? But
oh, lovely.
They're not. They have a game of fetch, which is good.
So they're really just big puppy dogs.
Yeah, which is cute. I like that.
I always like it when Cerberus ends up being just like a big puppy.
Yeah, me too. And they do have 3 different names. One of them is Cerberus. I can't remember the other ones. I didn't write them down. So that was a great tidbit of information for you. She does get to this river, but another god stops her from doing something stupid, which is good.
Oh, God.
It's actually the goddess Hecate is there. And she explains that this is the river, the Lethe? Not sure.
Lethe?
And Lethe?
I feel like the E is pronounced in everything when we're talking Greek mythology, so I don't know.
Yeah, the Lethe. We only say it once or twice more. And it would have stolen her memories if she had have touched it. And
Yikes. I'm like, why is someone letting her loose? Why is she allowed to just be loosey-goosey running around the underworld when so many things can destroy her?
Yeah, why didn't Hades give her a warning about anything? It's really not very smart.
Or a manual.
Yes. Hecate helps get her water and tells her that Hades loves animals. He has these 3 dogs and he has 4 horses. And she tells her that she likes to live in the underworld in a cottage that he gave her, but she stays there a lot of the time. And they go for a tour together and end up looking down at Asphodel.
Yeah.
In mythology, it's where ordinary spirits go in the underworld. But in this book, it's basically like a meadow with houses and souls that look as solid as humans. And they're just like going around, and apparently it's market day here today.
Yeah.
Hecate teleports Persephone down with her. And Persephone is kind of confused by all the produce here. Like, there's market and there's food and there's like stuff that people can buy. And I would assume barter for, not necessarily buy, but like she's just, I guess, intrigued by it. Mm-hmm. But Hecate tells her she obviously misunderstands death. Like, the souls still feel like I'm going to say the will to live a familiar existence. Like, they want a familiar life in their afterlife as they had in real life. Mm-hmm. Some of the souls around recognize Hecate and come to speak to her and to be touched / blessed by her. And she introduces Persephone as goddess of spring, which is a title that they don't recognize, which does like not surprising because nobody knew about Demeter's daughter.
Yeah. Which sucks. Like, imagine what kind of a goddess, you're sort of feeling yourself, and then all of a sudden you get introduced to a bunch of people, and they're like, what? Who? Like, I
You're
don't know
not a
you.
goddess. Yeah.
We don't know you.
A soul offers Persephone a flower, and Persephone, knowing that she'll kill it, she bends down, and then ends up a bunch of different souls put flowers in her hair and make her a crown, which I think is kind of cool.
Also telling, like,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Some good foreshadowing.
It's like and I keep going back to Akamath just because we just read it, but like when Feyre wears the crowns anyway. A million, it's true I would. When Feyre wears the crowns all the time, and they're like, why are you in crowns? Oh, just because I like to put her in them. And it's like,
she looks so pretty.
No, dude. It's because you want her to be your queen.
Yeah.
Hi, lady.
Hecate tells her that accepting the flowers from the souls means a lot to them.
Why?
I'm assuming for the foreshadowing reason.
Okay, yeah, good.
They walk back towards the palace, and they see Hades, and he is shirtless playing with the dogs. And
hot.
Yes, and Persephone is super distracted by the V.
Oh, on his body.
Yes. The arrow that points to the dick.
Yeah.
When you have abs.
That the pelvic bone. Isn't that what it is? Your pelvic bone?
It is, yes.
Yes.
She's distracted by that.
Hot. Like the bony treasure trail.
Yes. Bony treasure. Yes. Hecate tells Hades off for not explaining the rivers to Persephone, and he apologizes, but he kind of looks surprised. And I'm like, she's clearly accident prone and not super bright, so maybe you shouldn't be so shocked here. Hecate says that she's being summoned and leaves, and Hades explains that she's the Lady of Tartarus and decides punishment for the wicked. So Persephone asks where Tartarus is, but he refuses to tell her because she's too curious, and he thinks she'll want to go just to see like how cruel of a god he is because of it.
Do you know what though? Smart decision on his part. Because she would.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So, good job, Hades. You're learning.
Yeah, finally.
Finally, yeah.
He asks about Asphodel, and she says that she's surprised that, like, the souls there are so happy because he's so cruel to mortals.
Mm.
And he tells her that he won't answer any of her questions because she won't answer his. Mm-hmm. And she asks how she's supposed to get to know him. And he proposes they play a game for answers. And he's like, no contracts, no favors. And she agrees, but only if she gets to pick the game. So he says yes.
Of course. And the game is one of great skill. And it's so hard to learn.
Yes.
So they go into his study and they play rock, paper, scissors. And, like, to be fair, I think this is actually very smart on her part because she picks something that doesn't require any skill whatsoever. And really, that is a game of chance.
Yeah.
So Hades initially is, like, pissy because he doesn't know how to play rock, paper, scissors. And she just tells him, like, it's rock, paper, and scissors. And, like, she tells him how to win. And they play. And she wins the first round. And initially, he's, like, he sort of doesn't really understand. And she sort of has to, like, tell him, like, we're not playing poker. We're not playing card games. It's not about bluff or deception. It's literally just chance. So, like, stop thinking like, oh, you know what I'm gonna choose. Who cares? Just pick one.
Yeah.
So she asks what kind of success he's had before with contracts, because I guess all this time that she's been like, oh my God, you're a terrible person, you're so mean to mortals, he's been like, hey man, my method has had successes. So this question is sort of like, well, what successes have you had?
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her that, like, some of the mortals have actually overcome their vice, which is obviously helpful to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I guess, but I feel like some of them is worse off than like the vast majority.
Yeah, I also feel like he was being deliberately vague. Like, why? Why are you? I know
Yeah,
it's because plot, but still.
but also though, like, um, she was also like when they started, because this question
Mm-hmm.
thing is not new. They did it
No.
when they first met, and she was deliberately cagey there. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they're just deliberately cagey with each other on purpose, and it's like foreplay.
Yeah. True.
Anyway, so she says that she doesn't think it's fair to hold them to this promise and to make them do these things because addiction is a disease. Not wrong.
No.
And she says that instead of curing an addiction needs to be managed. And he says, trust me, it is. And I'm thinking in my head, like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
How is it being managed? Like, do you have secret insider knowledge that like other people don't? It just, you don't know that.
Yeah.
So she wins another hand, and then she asks him, okay, well, how is it being managed? And he then tells her, he actually admits to her that, like, it's a slow process and that he actually doesn't make them give stuff up cold turkey, which is a actually nice thing to hear, because I don't know, you just think that with a deal, he's going to be like, okay, you're giving up alcohol, time to give it up.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that. Then he asks her, like, what would she do differently? Like, how would she make his process better? And she says that she wouldn't let people bargain with their souls, and that she would challenge them to rehab. And better yet, since he's so rich, he could pay for it.
Naive.
Yes. Like, I don't disagree that rich people can afford to, like, help people. But, like, can you imagine if he was like, okay, I'm going to pay for everybody's rehab? Everybody would just be going to rehab and then, like, dropping out weeks later and being like, nope, I'm getting back on the train. But it's okay because Hades is paying for it. Like,
Yeah. But she's also missing the main point of these bargains. The main point of the bargains is for them to get something out of it. Like,
yeah.
they're usually going there for something. So,
Yeah.
like, that doesn't solve the actual issue. Him sending them to rehab doesn't fulfill their part of a bargain.
Yeah. Anyway. So he's sort of like, well, what if they relapse? And she's like, it doesn't matter. Who cares if they relapse? Like, life is hard. And people need hope. That was her answer.
Yeah.
Who cares if people relapse? And I'm just like, I kind of do.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to rehab, I would hope that, like, you would work at it and try. Like, obviously, if you work at it and it doesn't work out and you try and do it again, like, good on you. But if you are, like, I don't know, I just feel like if you're being cagey and if you're, like, not putting your all into it and then you relapse, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I feel like this is a sticky topic.
it is sticky, yeah.
You can't force people to go to rehab anyway.
No,
Like, she's
no, of
being
course
very
not.
naive about all of this. Like, he can force people to stop if they want what they want enough.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you can't force somebody to go to rehab and actually put their all into it. So
100%. Anyway, so he wins the next round and asks her what happened to her hand. What happened to her hand?
I can't remember. Like, what? She didn't even do anything.
I don't know. Okay, well, she hurt her hand somewhere, and he asks why it's hurt, and she's like super cagey, and she doesn't really give him an answer. Or any of us.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Me neither. At all. So he kisses her hand, to heal it. And like, she's sort of like, I don't know if this is naivete or whatever it is, but like, she is being Kate, like, she doesn't understand why he cares so much if she's injured.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, dude, really? You don't? You have nothing to say about this?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're about to like kiss. They're getting real close and up in each other's grills. And they're about to kiss when Minth comes in. And I will tell you that when I first read this book, when I saw the name Minth, I always pronounce it Minty.
Oh, it might be.
It's definitely not. It has to be, like, I'm sure you're right in that it's Minth. But for some reason, I just always pronounce it as Minty. And that sounds very silly.
Don't know.
Anyway, Minth barges in and interrupts their kiss before they even have a chance to kiss. She's like the ultimate wet blanket. And she tells Hades that Chiron wants to see him. Ooh. Apparently, he's found an intruder. So they go to the throne room. And they see Chiron first. And he is the guy who drives the ferry. I say drives, but you know what I mean. He rides.
Yeah,
steers the ferry. You have to pay him to get across the river or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they go to the throne room. They're chatting. They encounter Chiron first. So Hades goes and sits on his throne. And all of a sudden, he magics a smaller, identical one to his, next to his. And it's for Persephone.
Of course it is.
Because she's a goddess, and she should sit on a throne. And again, I'm getting Akamath vibes, because it's like, oh, yes, I'm giving you a throne, not because I want you to be my queen, or I think you will be my queen, but, you know, because you're a goddess, so you need somewhere to sit. And it's just like, dude, we can all see it. I see it. He's being sneaky.
Yes.
Anyway, so the guy who tried to sneak on Chiron's ferry is waiting to speak to Hades. And originally, I think in the past, Hades would have been like, no, get the guy out of here. I don't want to see him. But he actually lets him in this time. Which is a step forward for Hades. So the guy who broke in is named Orpheus. So it's Orpheus. It's just Orpheus, who I know from Greek mythology.
I don't remember.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry, dude.
It's okay. So he comes in and asks to bargain for his soul for his wife's soul. His wife's name is Eurydice. And apparently they were only married for one day before she died in her sleep, which is pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah. It's not great. So Hades like is really unsympathetic to this guy. He like sort of makes really rude claims that like Orpheus is actually there for himself. He doesn't care if his wife lives or dies. He just doesn't want to live in a world without his wife, so it's all for him. And so like he's completely unmoved, and then he sort of tells him that the fates cut her thread. Like he's like, I'm not going to bargain for her soul because the fates cut the thread. So he says, really, there's nothing I can do once the fates have cut a thread. I can't bring them back to life. I can't change souls around or anything like that. Persephone, however, is sympathetic to Orpheus. Like she's sort of like, oh, I know you lost her quite suddenly, and Like she knows that he's still struggling.
Yeah, it is very sad.
Yeah. So Hades kicks him out then. And him and Persephone argue about this because Persephone thinks that he picks and chooses who he brings back
Mm-hmm.
or why he brings people back. So she's saying that he picked souls out of wherever they are, the underworld, and had them fight in the war. So like, why is he allowed to do it for like a battalion of soldiers, but he's not allowed to do it for a love match?
Mm-hmm.
Hades, however, says he doesn't want to make any exceptions because then everyone's gonna want to go do it.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
No.
Like, I'm sure this Orpheus guy is not the only one who's dealt with loss. Yeah. And like, it's just, I don't think it would be fair for him to be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll bring your wife back. But like, you know, like, yeah, I'll bring your wife back, but I'm not going to bring back anyone else's wife. And like, what about the people that lost kids? Like, isn't that a bit more of a, like, isn't that a bit more heartbreaking when you lose a child? Like, what's to stop all the people with kids saying, well, you brought back that guy's wife. Why can't you bring back my kid? Like, it just opens a whole can of worms.
Yeah. I feel like Persephone's being very naive here, too. Like, she hasn't really thought about anything. Like,
no. And, but, like, I do think, I'm not saying that if some guy was, like, came up to me and I knew that the guy that I was thinking about fucking had the power to, like, ease his pain, like, I would totally be sympathetic. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to ignore this guy, like, crying in front of me, being like, my wife. You know, like, I cry at the friggin' SPCA commercials.
I can only
like, with the dogs.
My wife.
My wife.
Sorry. No, I completely agree. I think she just like, she doesn't know what is in this person's soul. No. And Hades told her that he does. And she's not even letting him like explain anything. That's the part that I find dumb. Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she also then says, like, there were other options. Like, you didn't just have to kick him out and, like, make fun of him and mock him. Mm-hmm. Like, you could have offered him a glimpse of his wife wherever she was. Like, if she was in Asphodel or if she was in Elysium, like, wherever she was, he could have given the guy, like a little glimpse of her to say, look, she's here, she's happy, like, you know, this is where she is and she's not in pain, like, don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. But he didn't think to do that. Like, he wasn't compassionate.
I guess. All I can think is, like, doesn't he say something like, it's not about his wife, it's about him?
Yes. Like, and it's true.
Yeah. But do we ever get anything more about this person in any of the books? Like, does he ever explain it to her? Okay. Well, fine.
Yeah, no. Orpheus is he's just a means to an end.
Yeah. Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. So she's sort of mad because I guess she was starting to have feelings for him, but now he's mad and he's not showing any compassion and he's mocking this guy being in love with his wife. And it's sort of, I think it's less so the fact that he didn't love that he like was not being compassionate towards this guy, but it was more that he was doubting that this guy was in love, and it sort of made her question, like, oh, well, if maybe he doesn't believe in love.
Yeah.
Like, it was sort of those thoughts for her. So I feel like her anger is stemming from a personal place rather than, like, a compassionate place herself.
Yeah, rather than the injustice that she is thinking it is.
Yeah. She also thinks that, like, he has all of this power, but he just hurts people with it. And she sort of questions, like, how can you be such a passionate person and not believe in love? And he says passion doesn't require love. And that sort of reinforces that she's annoyed because I guess she thought they had something, or maybe they could have had something, and now she knows that, like, anything for her to have with him is just going to be physical, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um so she tells him that he is a ruthless god, and she snaps her fingers and leaves. So it's sort of what her MO is. She gets mad, she says the last word, and she runs away.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, it's about what I expect from her as a character.
Oh, yeah.
Um so the next morning she goes to work, and she goes in super early so she can get a head start on her article that she's writing. She bumps into Adonis, and he asks her how Nevernight was last night.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, he also, like, so she doesn't really answer, but then he reminds her, oh, don't forget to show me your article when it's finished. And she's like, I won't forget, like, stop being a D-bag. She doesn't actually say that, but she's like, okay, like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
She doesn't say that either. I'm just inferring.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
So she sits down and is like, starts writing her article. And, like, I don't know if you've ever, like, I know you've written a little bit, but, like, have you ever written and, like, it's just been your emotions coming out of it, not actually what you want to say?
Yeah.
So she seems like she's doing that. Like, she's confused, she's angry, she's bothered. So, like, what she's writing is like a running stream of thoughts, not actually what she wants to submit as an article.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, like, she sees two sides to Hades. So she sees this powerful, ruthless god that she saw with Orpheus, but then she also seems like the really tender, caring person who, like, cares so much when she almost drowns, even though it's her fault. Like, and she says that when they kiss, he seems starved for her.
Interesting.
So, like, yeah, but then she's all of a sudden, she's like, well, maybe that's how he is with everybody he kissed, and I haven't kissed anybody really, so, like, oh, I'm terrible, and oh, he's so experienced. There's no way he could have feelings for me. So it's just sort of like, oh, come on, like, eye roll.
Yeah.
I literally wrote that in my notes. Eye roll.
See, this is why if you do your notes on your phone, you could put the emoji in. Because that's what I started writing eye roll too at a bunch of spots. And then I was like, I'm just going to start putting the eye roll in.
Yeah. Well, because it's just sort of like, it's just one of those basic tropes. Like, oh, he's so experienced and I have no experience. What does he see in me?
Which I also ask.
I also ask it too.
I do want to finish this book so that I can read his book and his point of view. Because I'm like, I'm interested to what is he thinking?
So you haven't finished it yet?
No.
So I finished it this morning, last night.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, like, for the multiple time.
Yeah. Did you take notes on the last week?
No, I didn't. Not yet.
Okay. You just wanted to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Sorry, I was just curious.
What is happening? Anyway, so right. So this trope is just ridiculous to me. I just really don't like this, like, him being experienced, her not being experienced at all. Because how often is it the opposite?
Never.
It's never the girl slept with like a million dudes and the guy is a virgin. Because if that, like, I don't know, it just bothers me.
Yeah, there's something next week that really bothers me too, but that's just another thing. But
Mm.
yeah, I completely agree. I'm like, it's never the opposite
No.
because we praise virginity in women and we
Hmm.
praise experience in men as a society, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's annoying. But then at the same time, like, I don't know, you sort of like get it because a dude's first time, he's never good and he'll last like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Although, like, I also I don't love stories about virgins mostly because I find like their first time they're having sex, they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing," and I'm like, "That is not how she goes." Especially because they're like, "His dick is the biggest thing in the entire world. It's the size of my forearm." I'm like, "That cannot feel good your first time if his dick is that huge."
Yeah.
Like, I just, and I don't know how they could do it better. I just don't, I don't know why the virgin trope is such a like popular one,
Yeah. Like what?
especially with like, especially sorry, with women writers. Like,
Yeah, you would think they would want to be like, "Hey, main character who's a woman. She's had sex lots of times and she's secure in her sexuality and she knows what she likes and what she doesn't like. It's not up to the man to like, do you like that? Like figure it out for her."
yeah, and especially like, it's always the guy's always like, "Oh, I'm the only one that has ever touched you," and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Why is that a turn on?
yeah, because, like, that just makes it seem like if somebody else had touched her, then she'd be sullied by it, which is like not what we want as
No,
feminists.
no. It's an antiquated notion for sure.
Yeah, I don't love that, but that's, I don't know, that's just.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I mean?
It's just yes. Anyway, so she also thinks about his life and she thinks about how miserable he must be because he's by himself and nobody understands him and he doesn't have anyone to share his life with. But like
What about men?
she's right? She just is so conflicted because she doesn't like his whole deal thing. Like she finds the deals repulsive,
Hmm.
but she's drawn to him and she's intrigued by him and she's attracted to him. So it's like she's trying to write, and the only way that she says she can write well is by thinking that he's the enemy. Like that's the only way she can actually write.
Yeah.
And like she's also mad because like she is seeing him as her jailer. Like she is really like I feel like we don't even ever touch on how badly she feels about this whole 6 month thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a running theme for her and I feel like we already talked about it a little bit. Like she is in the human world to gain freedom from her mother, and now she's like trapped in this bargain all with Hades, and
Hmm.
like her freedom is going to be taken away again.
Yeah.
And like I would be more upset about that and
Hmm.
like them touching on that.
Yeah. I agree.
Um anyway, so she writes harsh words because it's the only way she can like get it out right.
Hmm.
Um so while she's writing, all of a sudden Valerie, our head-hunted secretary who's still got 2 years of school left, but she's already got a job in those 2 years when she graduates. Um rings her and says that her mother is at the front desk. And Persephone's sort of like, shit, it's Monday. And that Mondays mean her and her mother always go to lunch together.
Hmm.
So she goes to meet her at the front desk and asks her mother if they can reschedule because she's so busy. But like, I feel like that was a mistake.
100% agree.
Like, for one lunch. Like, you're not on a deadline. You
Mm-hmm.
just started your internship. So, like, they aren't expecting anything from you. It's not like this article has to be written for, like, tomorrow's paper.
Yeah.
Like, she totally could have taken a couple of hours out of her day to go
Mm-hmm.
have lunch with her mother.
Completely agree. And like, especially because her mother is going to be pissed if she doesn't. So why not just
Yes.
go?
Yes.
Also, the place she was talking about sounded good. I
It
would have gone.
did. It sounded lovely. So yeah, like I feel like it was more trouble for her to say no and piss her mother off
Mm-hmm.
than just saying, "Okay, mother, let's go for lunch." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like I get that she doesn't really like her mother and she doesn't really want to spend time with her mother. I understand that, but for the sake of, hey, your entire mortal life rests on keeping your mother happy and letting you live there with her magic,
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, you should probably just be nice to her.
Yeah.
So her mother storms out. She's not happy. Now, she doesn't storm out because, like, they're in public. So, like, she's got her glamour on. And, like, she doesn't storm out so that people know she's pissed. She doesn't do that. She
Yeah.
just, like, sort of, like, does that tight smile. So, like, Persephone knows she's unhappy, but, like, no
Mm-hmm.
one else is really going to know. And she's like, okay, well, yeah, we'll continue this. We'll go some other time. And then her mom leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So she heads back to her desk and sees Adonis at her computer reading her story.
When you leave your desk, you are supposed to lock your screen. This is like if you're in an office, that is 101. Like you never leave your screen open.
No, but again, it's like her third day.
I know, but like even in school and shit, like if you have a computer and you're walking away from it, I would never leave it so that somebody could look at it. Just I hate it.
Yeah. No, it's she's a moron.
Mm-hmm.
So she snaps at Adonis, be like, "Get off my computer. Like, don't touch my computer. What the hell's wrong with you?" And he sort of tells her to calm down, which I also really hate. I hate that.
Yes.
Like, do not tell a girl to calm down, like,
Yeah.
ever.
Don't tell anybody to calm down when they're not calm. Like that's
Yeah.
not going to help any situation.
Yeah. Not cool.
Like I don't think he's in the right. Like I do think it was dumb that she didn't close it, but I'm also I'm not like it's her fault because obviously it's not.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's like, "Oh, calm down. I was just reading it." And she's like, "Don't tell me to calm down." And she yells at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the boss, Dimitri, pops his head out the office and he's like, "Oh, is everything okay?" And I guess she doesn't want to be a snitch because she says, "Yeah, like everything's fine." And in the like, I didn't write it down, but Dimitri sort of like, not Dimitri, sorry, Adonis sort of like smirks at that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, of course he is. Because
Yeah, I hate that.
we
I
don't,
also think I'd do the same thing. Like I wouldn't want to like cause
no.
a stir, but I also like I hate him in this moment.
Especially like your first week. Like, you don't want to tattle on like somebody who's been there for ages.
Exactly.
So a few days later, she heads to the underworld one evening to water. I'm calling it the soil she's tending because nothing has grown. It's still just earth.
Yeah. Well, if anything grew, she'd be done, I guess.
That's
Does
true.
she need to get like a flower, or can she just be like, "This is a bud. I grew something.
I
Peace."
feel like she could. I feel like as soon as something sprouted, it'd be
Yeah.
okay.
Agreed.
So she's going to water and tend to her pretend garden. But so remember the last time we said she like sort of dressed up to go?
Yeah.
This time she totally did not. So she just like wore a pair of like leggings and a tank top that she had worn to school that day.
Yeah.
and just showed up, and like everybody was in the lineup to get in, and like everyone was dressed to the nines, and she was just like sort of, I'm not gonna say she was ratty, but she was comfortable,
Yeah.
and they just like let her in, and everyone's like, hey, you know.
Yeah. What the fuck? We have to dress
Yeah,
up and she's just in here wearing that?
yeah. um so in the club, she starts to head to Hades' office when all of a sudden she runs into Hermes. So Hermes is the god of trickery and also the messenger of the gods.
Mm.
And they chat. He reminds me of like the gay best friend sort of trope,
Mm-hmm.
but like he's not gay. I think he likes all flavors.
Yeah.
But like again, still we're getting that we're getting that trope. Like that's how he sort
Yeah.
of behaves.
Mm-hmm.
Um he also sort of insinuates that she is into Hades, and it's like everybody can see it except for her.
Yeah.
Um so they go into the office, and Persephone tries to get into the underworld, and she cannot. So she assumes that Hades revoked his favor. So like he has to bestow favor so that she can get in. So she thinks he took it away after she called him like ruthless and took off.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, Hermes like pushes Persephone and himself into a mirror into the office as part of like magic stuff to spy on Hades. Hades is arguing with Minty, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so Minty doesn't want Hades to talk to a mortal that has shown up to talk to him, even though Hades wants to.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, just send her away. And Hades is like, no, send her in. And Minty says to him, like, this will not sway the goddess to your side. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder which goddess we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Hmm. So he says, I don't care. I want to hear from the mortal. So it's a young mother who comes in. Her daughter has cancer, and she asks to exchange her life for her daughter's life. But Hades refuses. And she's like really upset because she was like, this was my last chance.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to her, he's like, my bargains are not for someone like you. He says, but I'll still help you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he's not going to offer her a bargain, but he is going to help. So he just says, I'm going to bestow my favor on the girl and she will live. And so, like, the girl's obviously really happy. And she's like, what can I do? How can I repay you? And he says, don't tell anybody that I did this. And I'm like, valid.
Yeah. I love
Because
it.
because again, too, we're running into that thing of like, if everybody knows,
Yeah.
then everybody's going to be asking, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never be alone again. So she leaves, and Hades, like, he could sense Persephone and Hermes in the mirror, so he pops them out. Um, Hades asks if he sort of asked Persephone, like, did you hear everything you wanted to hear? But like, it wasn't even her that wanted to spy on him. So like, I don't get why he's mad at her.
Yeah.
But he's annoyed.
Yeah.
She's just like pissed that he revoked her favor. She was like, all I want to do is go water the garden. So he doesn't really comment anything beyond that point, and just like teleports her to the underworld, to the garden on her ass. Like, he doesn't do it gently so that she lands on her feet. He does it so she lands on her ass. And she's pissed that
Yeah.
he's like ignoring her. And I'm just like, girl, make up your mind. Is he your enemy? Is he your friend? Like, are you in love with him? Like, make up your friggin' mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So she really wants to know, like, why did he decide to help that woman? Why is that something he wanted to do?
Mhm.
Um, so she tries to like snap to leave, but she is stuck. She can't leave. So essentially she has to stay and wait for him to come and get her to take her home. So she does what all enterprising young women do. She snoops.
Fair.
A completely fair. I would also be a snoop.
Yeah. Well,
Guaranteed.
especially like if he's not gonna let her snap and leave, like she can't swim across the river. Tried that. So I'm completely for this decision to snoop.
Yeah. So she um snoops and then she finds the library. And of course the library is incredible. Quelle surprise. So she hangs out in there until Hades comes to find her. And like she had all these books picked for her to read. And yeah. And like, why can't we meet magic men who are amazing at sex, who have gigantic libraries?
Right?
Like,
Like it's never a thing.
it's,
Why?
yeah,
Why do no men have giant libraries?
I don't know. It's really unfortunate.
It is.
So, she asks, like, why did he revoke her favor? And he says he did it to teach her a lesson. And I'm just like, yee! I'm like, you're not her teacher or her parent. You
Yeah.
don't get to teach her a lesson. Like,
Gross.
it is gross. Like, that is not good behavior. Like, that brings me straight back to like Matthew Diana.
Yeah.
Blech. Discovery of witches. Like, red flag. Like, the red flag. I'm waving it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says it was to teach her, and she was like, what, to not like disagree with you or like to not get mad at you? And he's like, no, don't leave when you're angry with me. And like, obviously teaching her a lesson, ick, but like, don't leave when you're angry. Sure, I get it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this, especially since she like said what she wanted to say and just snapped to get out of there. Like I don't disagree with him being annoyed that she did that, but teach you a lesson, not the right way to say it.
No. So he says, he was like, you need to stay and like hear me and let me explain myself and like hear my motivations and why I do things the way I do them.
Mm-hmm.
So he says something like amazing here that we've talked about, but like I love that he actually like says it. He says that she seems like the type of person who has a lot of emotions but hasn't been taught how to deal with them. And like, yes,
Yeah.
100%. That is exactly what she is.
Yeah.
Like I could not agree more with that statement.
Agreed.
So he wants her to stay and like hear what he has to say instead of storming off. And he says, in addition to that, he wants to hear her ideas and how she would handle a situation as opposed to how he handles a situation. So like she sort of did that with the Orpheus thing. Like, you know, she said, you like kicked him out, like you could have done this, but
Mm-hmm.
then doesn't really give him a chance to like explain whether that would actually work or even give him a chance to say like, oh, that's not possible because of this. Like, you know, she's just, he wants to hear how she would fix things. Um, and he also says, like, you know, you are somebody who is compassionate and you've lived among humans. So, like, you understand humans better and the human condition. So, like, you're a better person to try and figure out certain, like, problems and figure out solutions to those problems.
Yeah.
So then she asks, well, okay, well, why did you help that mother, but you didn't help Orpheus? And he said, oh, I helped the mother because I wanted to. And he said, I could help her because she was just in limbo. Like the fates hadn't cut her thread yet.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Eurydice was already dead and her life was cut short purposely by the by the fates.
Mm-hmm.
So Hades couldn't touch her, like, because her thread had already been cut.
Yeah.
So he also says, like, with that girl, the little girl, he bargained for her life with the fates. So by asking the fates to spare one soul, he has no say in a different soul.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know which soul, like if it's a certain one or if it's just a random one. Like, we just know that by bargaining for her, that means he has absolutely no say in another.
Yeah.
Persephone thinks that's sort of unfair, that like he's the god of the underworld. So she thinks he should be getting the final say in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we say this a lot. I feel like that's really short-sighted and naive of her. Like,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
because he's a god, the god of the underworld, that doesn't mean he's the god of like death.
Yeah.
Like, he just takes care of the souls after they're dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like what she's been taught about Hades is different than
The reality.
yeah. So Hades says, like, sure, I am a god, but the fates are also divine. So he says that they sort of have to respect each other and like respect each other's positions and their roles in life. I actually love the fates. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do know why. So there's this Nora Roberts book that came out in the 80s, I think. This was actually, I think, the very first Nora Roberts book that I ever read.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's called The Three Fates. And it's about these people, these like three people that ended up having a different like antique statue that was worth millions of dollars. And the little statues were each of the fates.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. I don't know if I'm saying their names correctly, but like, and then each of the people that owned one of the little statues, they ended up finding a partner, and like there was like this adventure, and like their lives were threatened, and it was mysterious and an adventure. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first Nora Roberts book I ever read. So for some reason, like I just really like the fates now. I don't know why. Like,
Makes sense.
but like not like I'm not when I think of them, I don't think of them as like the Hercules. Do you remember that movie, the Disney Hercules movie?
Oh,
And
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's the three old crones all like sharing one eye.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of them that way.
Yeah.
I think of them as like these like Greek, like ancient Greek goddess sort of looking. I don't know.
I get it.
So yeah, I think I don't 100% remember, but I feel like in later books the fates may make an appearance.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm not 100% sure. I might be lying out of my ass.
Happens.
So, back on track. So, Persephone is actually happy with his explanation. She's happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
But she asks, like, what about all those other contracts you made? Like, what about even mine? And he sort of hits the nail on the head a bit here because he's like, so were you just, like, why were you not interested until your contract? Like, it seems personal. And then they get close. Like, you know how when you're talking and you sort of gradually get close to somebody?
Yes.
So they gradually get close. And he asks, like, what she wanted when she invited him to her table.
Mm.
And he puts his head in the crook of her neck and he like starts kissing her neck, which is a little hot.
Yep.
And like she turns her head to like try and kiss him, but he doesn't let her. Like he like moves back. He wants her to answer like, what is it you wanted? She sort of answers like, all I wanted was, I just wanted cards. I just wanted to learn how to play cards, which we all know was a bold-faced lie. Like she was, her heat, she wanted desperately to be filled.
Ugh.
Blech.
And that was even from a distance. She wanted
From
to
a
be filled from
distance. She
Distance
wanted
filling.
distance, long distance filling.
I can think of as like a cream puff.
Oh my god.
Can't with myself.
Blech.
Throw the whole person away.
Anyway, so he gets turned.
Sorry.
He gets really turned off by this lie. And so he like steps away from her. He doesn't let it go any further and says like, any of the books you found, of course, you can borrow them. Which is like glorious.
Yeah.
Like, yes, please.
I would just come back and go to the library.
Get me a man who would let me borrow any book I wanted whenever I wanted from his gigantic library.
Yes.
So he also tells her that like, I never took away my favor. I think he like suspended it, but like didn't actually take it away. Mm-hmm. And says, you know, you're free to leave. And she says, hey now. She says, you just asked me not to walk away when I'm angry. Well, I want you, don't send me away when you're angry. And like, I feel like this is a very like married person sort of a discussion.
Yes.
Not people that don't even, well,
like each other.
Well, I feel like he likes her. She doesn't like him.
Yeah.
Well, she does, but she's not willing to admit that she does. Yeah. So like, this just feels like a married person conversation. Like, yeah. Let's never go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Anyway. So he says, okay, I'll try. And so she says, like, they go back to Nevernight together then. And she asks, how did he know that she was hiding in the mirror with Hermes? And Hades said it was because he could feel her. Yeah. I wonder what that means. Just saying.
Yeah.
So that's the end of their interaction. She goes home. She goes to bed. The next morning, she is sleeping when Lethe... Yes, she is sleeping.
Sorry, I don't know why I found that funny. We're just in a laughy, giggly mood today, yeah. I think.
So Lethe wakes her up all panicky. She's like freaking out. And she shows Persephone an article already in print and published that she wrote with her name on it. So all of her angry musings of just getting her thoughts out on paper, like that she didn't actually intend to write, are there. And there are also some additions that she didn't write, but were put in to sort of fill out the article, I guess.
Yeah.
So she sort of knows that Adonis stole the article from her. I'm assuming he must have sent it to himself, like emailed it to himself.
He must have emailed it to himself and then like deleted the sent email, because you'd think you'd notice.
Yeah.
That in your inbox.
But. Yeah. But how often do you check your sent email?
I guess maybe I do more often than some, because our stupid work emails don't always go through. So I always have to check to make sure they've actually sent.
Oh.
So.
Anyway. Yeah. So she's freaking out now. And she's like really afraid that she's going to get punished. I don't know by who, like either her mother or Dimitri. Like, I don't know. I don't think she'd get punished at work because they chose to run the article. So
Yeah, I
they
would be
must.
more pissed. I wouldn't be worried about
I know.
repercussions. I'd be like, I'd go in guns a fucking blazing. Like, she is such an angry person, and the way she just lets this go pisses me off.
I agree with you. Like 100%. So she says she's terrified of being punished. I'm assuming it's her mother.
Yeah, that's all I can think of.
Yeah. And then she's also a little bit afraid of like what Hades is going to say. And like, fair point, man, because like you guys are trying to, I don't know, like I can't even say they're in a relationship, but like sort of seems like it's heading that way. And then she just wrote this scathing report about him.
Yeah.
So like, I would personally be more afraid that the guy that I sort of have a crush on would be upset that I'm like calling him out as a D-bag.
Yes, yeah. And like, if it was anybody else, I think he would have killed them.
Yes, guaranteed.
So I would be worried about that as well.
Maybe. So she decides she's going to go to the office to confront the situation and figure everything out.
Mhm.
So she goes to Adonis, like she goes to the office, and Adonis is like, "Oh, congratulations on the article! Like, great job!" And she's like, "You are a jackass. You stole my article and you printed it." And he was like, "I didn't steal it because I still gave you credit. Like, it's still under your name."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, because you are a coward and you wanted to write about Hades, but you didn't have the guts to put your name on it. So you kept my name on it so that I would get all the heat." So she was like, "You are a damn coward."
Yeah.
And I'm sort of just like, yes, he is a coward. Like, can you make it worse, please?
Yeah.
I just feel like this was very mild for her.
Yeah, I do too, and it does annoy me because I'm like, he's an asshole. He stole your work. You should be losing your goddamn mind.
Yeah. So, all of a sudden, like, Dimitri sees her and calls her in. And she thinks she's going to get fired. I don't understand why, because you would think he would have had to approve the article before it came out.
100%. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So he's like, "Oh my God, this article is like insanely popular. So I want you to write a series on Hades. You can write one article a month on Hades." And he thinks it's like a stroke of brilliance. Like, this is going to make us so much money. She's not happy about it. She doesn't really want to write any more articles on Hades. But she doesn't really feel like she has an option to say no. And like, I feel like why would you want to work in a place where you feel like you can't say no to something?
Yes.
Just, you know.
Yeah. Also, why doesn't she tell him what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I know. So after that, she leaves. She's not supposed to be in the office today. She's supposed to be in class. So she goes to class. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're that girl that wrote about that article about Hades." They're like, "What's he like?" Like, they all want to know. They all want to know like what Hades is like as a person. But like, she sort of says like she feels like that's her knowledge and like she doesn't want to give it away. And it's sort of like, possession, anyone?
Yeah.
So I guess after class, Lexa calls and congratulates her on the column. And I'm like, Lexa's the one who showed it to her this morning. I don't understand. Why is she calling again?
Yeah.
Like, she's congratulating her as if she hasn't seen it. But she's the one who showed it to her this morning.
Yeah. Well, I guess Persephone just ran out as soon as she saw it. But still, like...
But like...
It's odd.
Well, and Lexa woke her up in a panic. She was like, "Oh my God, Persephone, like, look at this." And now she's like, "Oh my God, girl, congratulations." And I'm just like, are you like, what is wrong with you? Like, multiple personalities? Who are you? So she asks if she wants to go to La Rose, which is a nightclub owned by Aphrodite, to celebrate. And in my head, when I was writing this, I said, what is it with Lexa and clubs? But then I thought about it. They're 20s. They're
Yeah.
in their early 20s. And I'm like, we were the exact same way.
Yes.
So now
100%.
I feel bad that I was like, oh my God, what is it with Lexa and friggin' clubs? But I'm like, oh, what was it with me and clubs?
Right? Like multiple times a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good, good.
We would go out for what, like Toonie Tuesday,
3 for 5
3 for 5
Thursday.
Thursday, Saturdays. Oh God.
Fridays sometimes.
Friday
Sometimes it was a
sometimes too.
4-night week.
It
Also,
was,
where
yeah.
did we get the money? Like
Don't know.
our coffee shop job.
Minimum wage.
Jesus. Yeah.
Coffee shop job. I think we save money on cabs though. Anyway, so all of a sudden her mother shows up. So I'm assuming she hangs up from Lexa without giving her an answer. Or like, is she on the phone with her still? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So her mother shows up. She's also pissed about the article.
Mm-mm.
And Persephone's like, but I thought you would be proud. Like, you hate Hades. I thought you would like that I wrote something mean about him. And she's like, no, bitch, I'm not happy. I'm not proud. Like, you're ridiculous. She was like, you disobeyed me by going to Nevernight a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And then she sort of is like, how did you know that I've been going there? And she was like, dude, I've been tracking you on GPS. And I'm like, couldn't she just figure out where she is with magic? Why does she need a GPS system?
Yeah, I'm tracking you on your phone. It's like,
Yeah.
you need to resort to that? Aren't you a god?
Yeah, and like, especially if it's her blood daughter, wouldn't she be able to figure that shit out?
You'd think.
Anyway. She argues, Demeter does. She was, because Persephone's like, oh, great, you're stalking me. And Demeter's like, no, dear, it's not stalking. I'm your mother.
Boundaries are working here.
I know.
Jesus.
So Persephone's like, I'm not in the mood to deal with this shit today. So she goes to leave. But her mother uses magic to make it so that she can't move. Like, she can't walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And Demeter sort of reminds her that the only reason Persephone is here is because Demeter allows it. And she essentially says that if she ever goes to Nevernight or sees Hades again, she would remove her from the world and bring her back to the greenhouse.
Remove her from the world. That's such just sounds so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And like, I have to, like, we're putting a lot of red flags on the Hades Persephone thing, but like, there's a ton of red flags here.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, Demeter has serious problems that she needs addressed.
Yep.
So Persephone says that, like, if you do that, I will never forgive you if you send me back to the greenhouse. And Demeter sort of says, like, bitch, I don't need forgiveness. I'm your mother. Like, I don't need you to forgive me. And again, like, I feel like that's a problem.
That is so bad.
So remember last week when I said it doesn't even seem like Demeter loves her child?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, this does not seem like something a loving mother would do. Even if you're trying to protect your child, you wouldn't be like, I'm just gonna kidnap you and isolate you from everybody that you know and a life that you love just because I don't like who you're hanging around with. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It just a personal
grievance.
Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that doesn't seem like something a loving mother would do.
No, completely agree.
So then her mother just like pieces out. She's like, bitch, I don't need forgiveness. I don't actually know if she says the word bitch. I'm just adding that for flair.
Yeah.
But she says, bitch, I don't need forgiveness. And then she like pieces out. And all of a sudden, Persephone can move again. And she decides, no, you know what? I definitely need to get drunk.
Yeah.
So she's like, Lexa, she like I don't know if she calls her or texts her or what, but she's like, we're going to La Rose. And I'm like, you know what? I think that is actually a very reasonable, like, all of this happened. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
So they're going clubbing.
Yeah.
I just like, why do you have to go to a god's club? Can't you go to a human's club?
Also, how are they getting into this club? Which I know is a thing that we get into, but
yeah, it is gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess Lexa said she has connections.
Magically has connections.
She has a connection.
Yes.
And I think we know what that connection is.
Yep.
But we will find out more about it very first thing next week. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's wraps it up for this week. We've had some flags, we've had some laughs. So if you want to get in touch with us and share your thoughts on anything you heard in our episodes, or if you have any book suggestions for us, you can email us at coffeeandcoread@gmail.com. And be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Coffee and Co Read.
So next week, we're going to be discussing chapters 13 to 19 of A Touch of Darkness. Make sure to follow along. And if you're enjoying our little chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you find our content. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you on the next page.